Well, let's move on to, I guess, the election itself here and the Democratic side. Obviously, a pretty hot contest going on now. We have some national polls showing them a couple points apart. We have Nevada showing them a couple of points apart. A couple weeks ago, maybe a week and a half ago, you wrote again for New Republic about Bernie and Hillary and something you call about the lie of the possible. So I guess let's just give me your general thoughts on the Democratic race and kind of what's possible when we're talking about our candidates here.
So now you're asking me to become what I despise.
Exactly.
This thing months early. Okay, I will do it.
Well, the election's going on now, so I think it's fair
game. It is going. At this point, it's fair game.
Yeah.
So I will do it for you, Matt.
Thank you.
I think that this Clinton-Sanders race has been quite healthy, actually, for the Democratic Party in laying these issues on the table. In saying that we have differences within the Democratic Party and that primary season is the perfect time to debate and discuss those differences and gauge where the party is ideologically speaking. And that's really the reason that Sanders got into this race. And it's the reason he's doing very well, because we're seeing that the electorate is in a different place than it was in 2000 or 2008, and or even just 4 years ago, probably.
Right.
And this is a divide over issues. It's a divide over actual things rather than tribal identity or those other types of matters. This is a debate about what issues match the ideological profile of the Democratic electorate. And I think that's very important. The two sides want different things. Clinton's fond of saying that we have the same ideas, but we just have different means of getting there. We have the same goals, but we just want to get there in different ways. That's not really true.
No.
The two sides they want different things. And it's okay to want different things. It's healthy to sort of gauge where we are as a party. There's this idea that presidents need to trim their sails, that they need to think about the art of the possible and judge it precisely the policies that might get 218 votes in the House and 60 votes in the Senate. If we believed in that in 2007, and every reason I have every reason to believe that Democrats did cater their policy profile to what was possible in 2007. They were unprepared for what happened in 2008 when the financial crisis came, and suddenly there was this all kinds of momentum to re-regulate the financial system, and we did not have a menu of policies on the shelf that were available to be taken down and used and employed because we were too constrained by this narrow thinking, this narrow range of what is available to us at the given
I actually
moment.
want to let's dig into that a little bit here, because one of the things that I actually think is, honestly, as someone who doesn't want to see Republicans in power, because obviously both you and I are in that regard, I find it unbelievably dangerous when Democrats brag so much about Dodd-Frank as if it solved everything. It really is like really frightening to me. And like, because you and I have talked, thankfully, because you really know this stuff really, really well, you and I have talked about, dug into Dodd-Frank so many times about how it's not that great of a bill and how much of it isn't even in place. And it's just, hey, let's have these regulations that we'll do at some point in the future. Hooray. But when Democrats just like say how great Dodd-Frank is, when we know that these banks are bigger now, and it's really more a matter of probably when instead of if, when the next big thing crashes, it's really dangerous for Democrats to be saying, oh, things are wonderful, when instead, like, because when it happens, then you're on record saying how great this bill that really didn't stop it from happening. You know what I'm saying?
And what did we see just yesterday?
Yeah.
Neel Kashkari,
Yeah.
who was the Republican candidate for governor last time around in California, who was a member of TARP, who managed the TARP program, said we need to break up the banks and we need to regulate them as public utilities, with forcing them to hold as much capital as possible so they have to pay for their own mistakes. This is not, some off-the-reservation ideologue, left-winger of the Bernie Sanders variety.
Right.
If you just look at the situation objectively, you can see, you can get to the same place that Kashkari got, saying that looking at banks today and where they are right this second is a bad frame. Also, looking at what happened in 2008 and then just trying to fight the last war and prevent that from happening again is also a bad frame to look at how you're going to regulate the financial system. And Kashkari, I think, has, to his credit, the right idea. He's looking at the broader system and what would be best for the economy as a whole in terms of preventing the crises that can come about, but also ensuring that the financial system is a servant to commerce rather than a master of it. That it's serving the ability for productive allocations of borrowers and lenders rather than being able to massively muscle in and control the economy in many ways by through various types of financial engineering. So that's an example of, it might not be something that 60 senators are ready to do right now, but it might be the thing that we need to rebalance the economy. And ultimately, I think political parties, the way you make change is you come up with those best practices and you try to move people to your position. It's slow work. It might not totally happen, but it's a better theory of change than pinpointing the exact fulcrum point at which you can get an incremental technocratic piece added to the existing system. I just don't think that is as robust a theory as actually coming up with what you think is best.